Hi, it's Tony Robbins. Happy New Year. Listen, how's your new year coming out so far? I know it's early, it's January 15th, and I thought I'd send you out this little video message because you know what that day means, don't you? January 15th is the cutoff. Statistics show that 95% of the people that actually made a New Year's resolution have already broken it by today. And that's if you even made a resolution. Now, if you're the exception to that, I'm thrilled for you, and I support you, and I say keep rocking it. But if you've missed, maybe I could drop you a quick little message or two here that can help you not only recover, but get way beyond just making some New Year's resolution and make some real lasting change in your life. I mean, think about it. Most people don't even make a resolution anymore. Why? Because they've made them from years and years and years, and they know they're not going to follow through. So after a while, who wants to disappoint yourself? Who wants to be upset with yourself? Why even bother to set a new standard for this year? You know it's going to be the same as last year. If you're the kind of person watching this right now and you've actually opened this email and you haven't shut me off already, then obviously that's not you. So the question is, what is it that makes us even want to make a resolution? I mean, it's an interesting question. Why is it at the beginning of a year we have this tradition, but it goes beyond tradition. It's something inside of us that makes us want to make things better. And I think part of it is the calendar gives us this idea that we could have a fresh start, that we could start from fresh and have this great victory. And it's really, the calendar itself is quite arbitrary. It's wonderful to use it, but if you didn't use it effectively, let's use the calendar to serve you today. Let's just see, what does it really take to make this thing happen? Because there's no denying that inside of you, the only thing that's going to make you happy in the year ahead and the decades ahead is going to be having you have an experience where on a regular basis, you feel like your life is making progress. If there's one thing I teach, and I want to remind you of it, it's really simple. Getting things is not going to make you happy. That's good news in a tough economy. It's a good reminder. It doesn't matter what you get. Doesn't matter whether it be money or opportunity. All those things might excite you for the moment. Even a relationship, as magnificent it may be, might be exciting for a while. But if you don't keep growing, that relationship isn't going to stay exciting. So the secret to real happiness is progress. Progress equals happiness. And if we can make progress on a regular basis, we feel alive. And that's why at the beginning of the year, we get this thing like, okay, I can have this fresh start. I could really do what my soul desires. I could expand. I could grow. I could improve. I could change. Or maybe better than change, I could progress. See, think about that. Progress is an aliveness to it, doesn't it? You don't have to work at changing. People say all the time now, well, I'm working on changing. Don't worry about it. You don't have to work on changing. Change is automatic. Your body's going to change whether you want it or not as the years go by. And no matter how hard you work, there's going to be some changes going on there. The economy is going to change no matter what you want it to do. The weather is going to change. Relationships are going to change. Everything in life is always changing. We don't have to work on change. Change is automatic, but progress is not. So if you want to make real progress, then you really got to look at your life in a different way. You got to say, I got to take control of this process and not just hope it's going to work out like people do who make a resolution. Because really, isn't that what they're really doing at the beginning of the year? They're saying, well, here's my resolutions for the year, and they really basically tell you their wishes. It's their wish list. It's what they hope it all comes together. And then they call it a resolution, but they don't know what a resolution is. When you resolve something, to have a resolution is to resolve it. When you've resolved, this is how it's going to be. That's when you cut off any possibility except the thing you've committed to. It's like the old adage, if you want to take the island, you burn the boats. Because when you burn those boats, there's no going back. You're going to find a way to make things work. And most people, they're stating what they hope will come together. And if it doesn't happen, then they're disappointed, but they're not too disappointed because they're not too vested. What does it take to successfully create a lasting change in your life? To not only have a New Year's resolution you follow through on, but really have a lasting change? Well, the first step for lasting change is very much like making a New Year's resolution. Fundamentally, it's the same. The first step is you got to have a vision for what it is you really, truly want. Not what you think you want or what you should have. I mean, what are most people's New Year's resolutions? I'm going to stop eating sugar. I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. The problem with that is it's not very inspiring for most people. It's not telling you what you're going to get. It's only what you're not going to do. And it's kind of hard to have you move forward with that. A vision is about what you're here to create. A vision that really works is one that excites you. If you say, well, my resolution, my goal, my outcome for this month, this week, this year is to lose X number of pounds, that's okay, but it's not very compelling. It has to be a compelling vision. It's got to have something that has the power to pull you, not something you have to push yourself to do. Those are two different kinds of motivation. Push requires willpower, and willpower never lasts. What will last is pull. Having something so exciting, so attractive, something you desire so much that you have a hard time going to sleep at night and you get so up early in the morning to rock it and take it to the next level. That's what you're looking to create. And that isn't easy to get. But one of the reasons we do seminars and events and we say, why do that? Why not just read a book or something? Is because when you get in an environment where you're with people that are being put in a peak state, like when you're going to a sporting event, if you watch a sporting event at home, it might have a certain level of excitement. But when you're in a stadium with 50,000 people, suddenly it has a whole different level of intensity. And we feel that. And the bottom line of our follow-through comes down to our emotional intensity. In a different state of mind, you're going to come up with a much better and a more exciting vision than if you're sitting on the couch going, okay, what are my new resolutions for this year? And you're doing it the morning after the new year has started and you're a little inebriated and the football game's on in the background. Probably not going to have the power of focus there. Probably not going to have the power of the energy to create something that's going to pull you for this year. And you got to do that. And most of your stress is because you're thinking about too many things at once. In fact, when people don't do things, it's not because they can't. It's not even because they don't want to. It's because of the way they are focusing on what I call chunking things. When people don't follow through, here's what they do. I'll give you an example. Who here believes exercise is very important, but you don't exercise regularly? Let me see a show of hands. Raise your hand. More hands than most of us want to raise our hand, right? Now, who here really focuses, or I should say exercises regularly? Raise your hand. Regularly. Okay, great. Who here does not exercise regularly even though you believe it's important? Just be truthful. Okay, great. So let's see what the difference is here. A person who does not exercise regularly, I want you to raise your hand and I want you to tell me why you don't exercise regularly. Be truthful. Okay? Yes, sir. I don't have the time. Now, is that true? He even knows it's not true. He's going to answer you first. No. But it feels like he doesn't have the time because time is emotion. And he's got so many other things he is focused on getting results in that adding this to the list seems like a lot, right? And the other things are very important to him, like his business. I don't have the time. He has the time. What's the real reason he doesn't do it? Because of the way he thinks about exercise. When he focuses on what it would take to exercise, he does it very differently than someone who follows through. When you think about exercising, what's involved?
At the moment, about mile 14 of the London Marathon. Quite painful.
Okay, he starts thinking about, I got to get to mile 14 of the London Marathon, and that even the thought of trying to get to the 14th mile, much less the 25th mile, is like beyond my imagination right now. So he is what I call over-chunked. He's not thinking about what he wants, he's thinking about what's painful. You just saw a perfect example. He's not even thinking about victory or succeeding. So the chance of him following through on something that he associates major pain to, when he can do something else right now he can feel competent or successful at, his chances of following through are very limited. How many will follow that? Say I. His focus is on failure. His focus is on pain. That's why he isn't following through. Okay? He's also focused on the 14th mile of a marathon rather than today's workout. Which one seems more daunting to you? So when you think of and here's also what he's thinking about. He's thinking about the process, not the outcome or result he wants. And when you think about what it's going to take to do something, usually it takes a lot and you're not going to want to do it. So he's overchunked himself. He's trying to eat the whale whole without taking any smaller bites. And it seems too big for him, so he says, well, I'll do it when? Later. As my Australian friends would say, later. Right? And of course, the problem with doing it tomorrow is when you get to tomorrow is today, and tomorrow never comes. So, and you keep promising yourself. By the way, what does this do to you emotionally when you keep breaking your own promises with yourself? Or you keep failing to do things that you know are important? Does it increase your level of certainty and confidence? No. What it does is it erodes it. And when you erode confidence in one area, believe it or not, it affects the other areas too. Do you believe me on that? Don't believe me. What about your own life experience? Maybe not one area, but it starts to be multiple areas. It sure does. Another reason why somebody doesn't exercise or do anything is because they don't just chunk it too big, they chunk it in too many details. I'll give you a perfect example. So I asked somebody one time, I said, okay,
How important is exercise? Oh, exercise is extremely important. Really? Okay, good. And tell me, why don't you exercise regularly? Well, I just don't have time. Okay, everybody gives that answer. That sounds wonderful. So tell me though, don't tell me about how much time you don't have. Tell me this. When you think about exercising, what do you think about? Which is a way of saying, what do you focus on? And so this woman says to me, well, my gosh, what do you mean what do I think about? Well, let's say I said to you, you got to start exercising and I'm going to put a gun to the head of your children and I will do very horrible things and hurt them badly if you don't exercise. Could you do it? Oh yeah, I could do it. You know, if some mafia person came here and said, I'm going to kill your children if you don't exercise every day, how many think you could find a way to exercise every day, no matter what your time constraints may be? So remember this. Remember this. Change is never a matter of ability. It's always a matter of motivation. I'll say that again. Change is never a matter of ability. It's always a matter of motivation or drive, having strong enough reasons. If you got a strong enough reason, you could figure out the time, couldn't you? But you're going to have to decide what's right for you. So all I'm trying to tell you is, today, think of this as a second opinion. Think of this as the most important subject of your life, even though you may not have made it that way. Think of it as something that isn't a should, but a total what? A must to master, because if you master this, everything else you can dream of is available to you. And if you fail to master this, everything else goes to the wayside. I meet people all the time in relationships and they want relationship therapy. And I say, you know what you gotta do? You gotta exercise, you gotta work out, you gotta lose some weight. You guys are just so tired, there couldn't possibly be any passion. When you're exhausted, there is no passion. And people say, okay, well, I'm gonna really work on a plan and I'm gonna organize things and I'm gonna find the best trainer. And I come back and I'm talking to them a week later and they're still planning things. This woman's telling me, no, but I'm gonna get the best trainer. I got the very best trainer to organize this. I said, ma'am, with all due respect, you don't need a plan, you need a trainer, you need somebody who gets behind you and just yells, run! Move! You don't need this long plan, you just gotta move. We're living in a society where nobody moves anymore. What do we like today? How do people get injured today? They don't get injured smashing into people, playing football and anything else. They get injured typing, right? Picking up a pencil. That's how people get hurt today because we don't use everything anymore. We live in a box. Think about it. Think about our lives today and how different it is than maybe the way we were formed to be made, to run, to hunt, to create, to procreate, to raise our children, to move, to farm, to do all the things that made us use all of our body. Today, what do? You wake up and you have this box life. You have a box breakfast, right? You get in your box car, you drive to your box office, you load up a box elevator. You don't use the stairs, of course, right? You go to your box office where you type on a box, talk on a box, right? Go into a box room for meetings, right? Sure enough, got a little box you can type on, listen to music on, box, have your box lunch, drive your box home or get in the train or subway and another box home, get home to your box, and then turn on the box, type on a box, message on a box, and maybe go get a cylinder to change your state, right? Maybe. And most people's idea of exercise in our society today is fill the tub, pull the plug, and fight the current. That's the world we live in today. And so it's not hard to figure out why we're getting fat and why we're feeling kind of tired and why we're building up acid in our system, consuming foods that have nothing alive in them anymore, where everything is denurtured and everything is chemicalized or radiated. So it can feel overwhelming. But I think if we got back to our common sense and if we were really committed, we can make it all work. And what I'm trying to say to you is really simply this morning. I'm going to take the morning and not talk to you about how to do this. We're going to figure out why to. Because 80% of success in anything is psychology and 20% is mechanics. It's the beliefs you have that are guiding your decisions. Listen, if you make a different decision, will you take different actions? Yes or no? Yes. If you take different actions, will you get different results? Yes or no? Yes. So this day is about some new decisions. Some decisions about what you're going to believe about health and energy, how important it's going to be from you from now on. What's going to be a must for you versus a should for you. Energy is a place that I've more than been, right? And I want to make sure that you have even more. I want to make it so that it's as effortless as possible in the future so you're not burnt out from it, so this becomes a sustainable experience. How do you make it sustainable? Create the base. How do you make it sustainable? Challenge it. Once you got a base, you challenge and grow. How do you do it? Then you got to celebrate and reward yourself for making these great rewards. And that celebration enhances your base because you feel better and stronger and you want to do even more good things. You want to eat better. You want to play better. I mean, when you start working out and you start to get into it, you love it. You love it. And then your base gets even stronger so you can take on a bigger challenge in life. And sure enough, you reward yourself and celebrate some more. And it becomes how the rich get richer, how the happy get happier, how the healthy get healthier, and the poor get poorer, and the depressed get more depressed, and the unhealthy get more unhealthy. It's momentum. Today is that process of momentum. My goal is for you today to have more certainty. Certainty that you have the answers that can guide you, and that there will be challenges in your environment. There are going to be environmental challenges. There are going to be all kinds of things you'll face, but whatever it is, you can handle it. And I'm hoping that as a result of today, you'll not only make a difference in yourself, but you'll own this so much that you won't have to lecture anybody. They'll come to you and go, oh God, you have so much more energy. You look so much better. You lost this. How'd you do it? And you'll say, let me tell you. And you will be a person who's a force for good that'll pass it on to other people. So my goal today is to plant seeds so that you not only get this, but this spreads to other people.
Hi, it's Tony Robbins again. Listen, people ask me all the time, if you really want to get lasting change, real results that stick around, what do you got to do? What are the most important things you've learned, Tony, in that area? And I tell people the most common thing people talk about is how they want to make a change in their life. But everybody wants a change, but nobody wants to work out. Everybody wants muscle, but nobody wants to train. See, one of the challenges that we have in our lives is we don't realize that the process of training ourselves, the process of conditioning ourselves actually feels incredible once you get that initial momentum. But most people don't. Why? Why do so many people say, well, I lost 100 pounds, the same 10 pounds 10 times, or they'll tell me, I'm on my 4th day without a cigarette, man, I'm doing really good. If you're counting the days, it's not lasting change. You're just counting the days you can tell people how long you lasted. If you want lasting change, you've got to give up this idea of trying something. You got to decide you're going to commit to mastery. And when I say commit to mastery, what I mean by that is most people dabble. They talk about, well, I'd like to change my body. I'd like to make my relationship better. I'd like to have more passion there, but they don't know what to do. And even if they did, they don't have enough detail to be able to follow through. They haven't made the shifts in their own emotion and their psychology to follow through. And it isn't that difficult, but there is a path and it requires consistency. Think about it. Everybody overeats some of the time. Everybody gets angry or frustrated or sad or depressed some of the time. Your life is not controlled by what you do some of the time. It's what you do consistently. And here's the secret. Whatever you want to make better, you better make sure you measure it more often. Think about it. If you want to lose weight and you never look at a scale, that's how people find themselves 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight, or even 10 or 15, because it just kind of happens slowly and then all at once. What do businesses go out of business? Things are okay, and then all of a sudden they're in trouble overnight. It's not overnight. All of our success and failure in life comes from little decisions, little actions, little moments. Failure isn't an overnight event. It's failure to make the phone call. It's failure to say, I love you. It's failure to take care of your body. It's failure to invest some time in yourself so you keep growing and expanding and not just reacting to the world that's constantly demanding your attention. Success comes from doing the right things also, little things, saying I love you, taking the time for what matters most, your body, your mind, your spirit, your emotion, having a plan, and measuring your progress. That's the second thing we need. You got to commit to mastery, but you also really need to get yourself involved in what I call immersion coaching. Immersion coaching is as old as humanity. How have we passed on mastery of anything? Finances, crafts, ideas, business, politics. Usually you went to live with somebody, you went to work for somebody, you became an apprentice. And maybe decades or years or decades of your life, you'd commit time to be around that person day and night so you could see and feel all the little distinctions that make them so masterful at what they do. Today, people have no patience. We all want it right now, and people don't only not commit to mastery, but they rarely even find a real mentor or coach. They think they have all the answers, they try a few things, if it doesn't work, they run to something else. If you want a great jump in the quality of your life, an extraordinary jump in the quality of your life, you got to set yourself up to win. You got to set yourself up with a process that allows you to consistently grow, consistently enjoy your life, and consistently produce the results that you're really after. And I don't care what area of life you want to change, coaching is one of the most valuable tools in the world. A coach just has a different perspective. I mean, even back in those days, the best athletes in the days, the Gretzkys, the Michael Jordans, et cetera, they all had a coach Still to this day, the best have coaches, because the coach can see what you can't see because you're in the forest, they're outside of it. And I know as an athlete, I was better than some of my coaches, but they made me better. So I said, that's my job. I'm a coach, because to me, a coach is not better. They're a friend, they're an equal, they're there for you. There's somebody who cares deeply about your well-being, but they're also incredibly skilled to help guide you at the moment you really need it. And so I started promoting this idea of being a coach, and the sports metaphor helped some people, but the media didn't buy into it very much. But I was able to succeed finally because I was able to keep measuring these results. After years of calling myself a coach, and there was no coaching industry, nobody talked to themselves as coaches, I remember at one point I hit a point where I was about to give it up. And Larry King even said to me on air one time, he said, what is this? You're a coach. What does that mean? And I was trying to explain peak performance coaching and strategy and so forth. And right about that time, suddenly coaching became the term of art, and everybody was a coach. Therapists started calling themselves coaches. Financial planners became coaches. It just became the term of art. So it's been a fascinating journey watching that word come in, because what I did is I helped build that term by making it based on real results. We build on success, and that's part of our success coaching system, our immersion coaching system. The bottom line is I got such great results that pretty soon I was coaching Princess Diana, President Clinton, Andre Agassi, the LA Kings. It just grew and grew and grew. And today I'm very proud to say that I'm the most successful coach of our type in the world. What we do is different. Today, anybody can call themselves a coach. It's a joke. It's become a term of art for anything. Somebody can go to some class that somebody made up and be certified as a coach, but can they really produce measurable results for you? I have a system. And my system that I do for 7 figures one-on-one for an individual, I've now taught all of my coaches to facilitate. So, does coaching work? Gosh, regular training, all the research shows that if you want to increase productivity in yourself, in your life, or in a business, overall training will increase productivity by 22%. Any ordinary training will do that. But if you take ordinary training and you attach to it personal coaching, studies show it increases by 88% of your productivity, meaning the results you get. The type of immersion coaching we do is a whole different level, and I'll tell you what the difference is. It's a combination of all the strategies that I've accumulated that are proprietary to myself and what I teach for the last 33 years. I've dealt now with 4 million people from literally 100 different countries. At this point, I have to be an idiot not to notice that there are certain patterns that make people successful and certain patterns that make people fail. Patterns that make people frustrated and angry and depressed, and patterns that make people feel passionate and alive and taking control of their life. And so I've put those together and I train my team in those. But the other part is when I started out, I was doing one-on-one work with people. And I loved that. It was incredible. But after a while, I saw, if I work with these people, a couple hours a month, maybe I'll get 20, 24 hours a year of coaching with them. It's fantastic. It's short. But if I could get them together for one weekend event, I could take group dynamics and learn from each other, and it could produce this energy like you have when you're an NBA final championship game or a football game or a great baseball game. And all of a sudden, you got energy, you got group dynamics, and I could do 50 hours in a weekend and make it like the time of people's lives where you have this explosion of progress. And so then I thought events were the answer. And how we've come to our current immersion program is I began to realize, wow, people get this huge jump in immersion with an event. And then having somebody one-on-one who knows you individually working with you and helping you to hold yourself to a standard. Again, measuring your progress, helping to guide you, and doing it, in a way that's very convenient. You don't have to travel. They're on the phone with you and they do it in the days that make sense for you, a couple times a month, and you're ready to rock and roll and go to a different level. So I began to combine those, and then we added our products. So that's how we have our current immersion system. So here's my offer to you. If you're serious, if you're not kidding yourself, and you really want to improve your life in any area, for things to change, you've got to change. For you to get better, for things to get better, you've got to get better. It's in every one of us. And so what we have to do is have a system to do it. So take advantage of this immersion system, this results coaching system. This is a place where you can see your life really change because we've proven it over and over again. It has a money-back guarantee. Come to an event. And if you can't do that for starters, get yourself a coach and get yourself a product and focus on the areas you want to change, whether it be your body, your emotions, your relationships, your finances, your career, the way you master and manage your time, or just the experience of what is going to be meaningful and celebratory for you in this life. And one of the ways we can help you out, if you're just kind of interested, not sure, and whether you want to commit yet or not, or try this process out or not, we have an opportunity for you to have a free coaching session that there's no charge, will add value to your life. You'll get a chance to focus and see what are the areas I want to improve, why, what's the strategy that'll start to move you forward. I'm passionate about coaching, as you can tell. It's a part of my life and history. Coaches have made such a difference in my life. At certain times, they just gave me a little insight. I'm heading this direction, and they give me this little slight change where instead of heading here, I'm heading here. But you take that out a week from now, a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, you end up in a different destination, a different destiny. Little things mean everything, and coaches allow you not to miss those little things. They allow you to get consistent results. Drop in with us, test us out, have a chance of our immersion coaching. I know you'll be thrilled, and you can check on the website here and see results of all the clients I've dealt with, top CEOs, people in government, sports stars, or just average people who know that a consistent process of progress that's measured and that's fun and that's simple will get you from where you are to where you want to be. That's results coaching. That's our total immersion system, and that's our opportunity for you to test it out. All right? I hope that you'll give us a try and that you'll maybe drop me a note about the kind of impacts you have, or that I'll meet you at an event and you'll share with me the story of your results. That's one of my favorite things in life. Live strong and live with passion. And thanks for your time.
I learned NLP, one of the first real dynamic set of tools I learned psychologically. I would go to these classes with these psychologists and psychiatrists, and we'd have an all-day session, which their idea of all day was 4 hours. It'd be like we'd start at 10, and at noon we're taking lunch. I'm like, where the hell are we going? We're going to lunch for an hour and a half, and then we come back at 1:30, and sure enough, by 3:30 or 4, it was the end of the program. And I was like, Jesus, you didn't even do a quarter of a day. So I took the rest of the time, and I extracted everything I could from what I'd learned. There are people with 10 times more skill than I had or ability, but my level of application compared to theirs, I dwarfed it. And it's because while I was still there, I didn't leave the environment. I've always had this belief. If you want to be successful at anything in life, never leave the sight of setting a goal without doing something that commits you to fulfillment. If you you're in state, right, when you do something. While you're in state, that's the time to commit yourself to something that makes you follow through. How many know what I'm talking about here? Say I. So I'd call somebody up, I'd schedule something, I'd lock in the next meeting, I'd sign up for the class, I'd enroll the guy who was going to mentor me, I'd set the meeting with a mastermind of people I met. I did something so that whatever I committed to, there was something when I went home that would pull me there. It's structure. In fact, I'll give you 5 C's to RPM just as a quick warm-up for you. How's that? If you don't remember, it'll be okay, but it'll be in your unconscious for when you go work with a coach. These are the 5 C's. Everything that comes in your mind, anything you can think of, because we're going to basically do a little mini RPM version of things right now. Anything comes to my mind, I'm here, and while you're here doing something, you're driving in your car and you think of an idea for your business or one of your businesses. Where do you put it? iPhone. Where do you put it? Diary. Where do you put it? iPod. iPhone. iPhone. And how do you find it afterwards? How are you triggered to look at it again? So he goes back and reviews his app system. How do you do it? Right. Crisis. Crisis makes me go get it. How do you do it? I send an email to myself. Oh, good, more emails with more to-dos, right? So I don't care what your system is, but when you have RPM, you'll have one place you put it. For right now, you need one place to put it. Now, the problem is most of us have lives that if you put everything in one place, it just becomes even more overwhelming. Who knows what I'm talking about here? So the first step, I'll just tell you that, is C, is capture. You got to capture. And the motion I do is like this. Imagine doing this, like physically capturing it, pulling it out of my head, and putting it in one place. I don't care what your one place, it's got to be one place. Now, ideally, in that one place, you'd have some categories so you don't throw everything on one giant list. Does that make sense? So you might have a category. For me, I have companies. So I have Robbins Research, I have Namali Resort, I have Metabolife, I have all these different companies. So I'll drop it in that area as an example. Or roles for me as a father. I don't have time to demonstrate this for you, but just know the first thing you want to do is keep it out of your head, have it in one place. Why do you want to do that? Keep lots of extra mental RAM available. When you have to keep thinking about stuff, it creates inner stress. If you know it's there, and you know you're going to look at it consistently, like you do it once a week, once a day, and you're going to review it and do something with it. Something with it might be, forget it, I'll do it later, tomorrow, but you're going to do something with it, you'll be able to let go. How many think that's pretty much something you try to do already? Most people try to do this, don't you? But the reason most people don't do it is because making lists, after a while, they stop doing. Tell me why they stop doing it. Who's made lists and they're not kept the lists up, your quote to-do list? Why don't you keep those to-do lists up? Every time you go there, there's so damn what? How many have always got more to do if you do make the list than you have time? So it inherently says, why am I doing this? RPM is a different mindset. Our mindset is, we're just first capturing it. We know we're not going to do most of this. But we need to be able to later, when it's time, decide which things are worth doing, and more importantly, what are we really after? We're going to use these to trigger us to say, all this relates to maybe something more important. How many follow the philosophical difference here? Say I. My goal is not get things done. This is not GTD. This is use the things you need to get due to stimulate a higher level of thinking of what you really want, why you want it, and become very strategic about how to get that. And many of these things may go away, or they just won't matter. But you do have to capture it, because otherwise it's in your head. So I have a lot of systems of doing it, but if you never saw me again, the most basic thing you need is one place to capture. Does that make sense? And what's step one of RPM? It's a C. You got to what? Capture, which means get it out of your head, put it one place. Second thing, you got to make sense of all this crap. And the way you do that, step two, is you create a plan. And a plan for me has three parts. And the three parts are 3 questions that I ask and 3 actions I take. And again, you'll learn this. I'm not trying to teach this all right now. I just want to plant some seeds in your mind. Is this okay? Yes. Is this useful? Yes. So when you're going home, you got all this captured stuff you just did here, right? Now you got to start to create a plan. You got to look at all this stuff and say, okay, there's more here than I can do. So what I really need is read all this stuff and start to see, well, all these things relate to one thing. All these relate to another. If I'm a mom and I made my list, and on the list I have things like, I got to pick up the laundry, I got to drive the kids to school, I've got to do this thing for the PTA, I got to clean the house, I got to run my business that I run out of the house, I got to do the accounting, I want to have to spend some time with my husband at the end of the day. Soccer mom, totally stressed out. But if I write all those things down, get them out of my head, and when I write them all down, I then start to put them together and go, you know, this, and this all relates to my kids. This all relates to the house being great. This, and this all relates to my business. And this is about my personal life being rich and happy. I'm able to do something really nice. I'm able to go from this, which is what your capture list looks like. You'll start writing it down. You go, I got to do this, and that, and this, and this. And you start to feel good. It's out of my head. But then you go, I got to do this, and I got to do this, and I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this, and 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 I got to do this. I got to do that too, and that too. So step 2 is I look at my capture list and I create a plan. And the way I create a plan is I start to figure out, what do I really want? That's what the world is saying to me. That's what's in my head. What do I want? I might start to group some things together. I might start to say, you know, let's take a look at this. You know something? Watch this. Watch this for a second. This item here, clean the house, and this thing and this thing and this thing, these all relate to the house. And my outcome there is I want a magically clean house because, why? It makes me feel fully alive. And then, oh, by the way, this, and this all relates to my children. Oh, and this, and this relates to my business. And oh, yeah, this is me personally. Anybody see what happens? Suddenly, 80 action items or 12 or 30 will turn into 4 outcomes. There's something here that I want for my home. There's something I want here for my kids. There's something I want here for my business. There's something I want for me. And what that does is now I can start to go, okay, instead of reading all these items, what do I really want for my kids? What's my outcome this week or today? And you get really, really clear about what you're after. You use this to take you to another level higher. Use this to trigger a higher vision instead of letting this limit you. And once you know what you want, that's the first question. So create a plan has 3 questions to it and 3 actions. First question is, what do I really want? How many of you would feel different in your life just by this language change? What do I have to do versus what do I really want to accomplish? Would that change the way you feel about your life? Yes or no? Yes. How does it feel with have to do? See, RPM, when you finally learn it, has many pieces to it. Above all else, it's a thinking process. And better thinking creates better results. It's that simple. So you don't have to ever use a piece of paper to think this way. From now on, all this stuff's happening, you go, what's my outcome? What am I really after? What do I want? What's the specific results? Like, what's the target? Let's chunk up. I don't ever go in a meeting with anyone. What do you think the first words out of my mouth are when I sit down in a meeting after the hellos and the proper connections? What do you say? I always say, what are the outcomes for this meeting? Because how long the meeting is based on getting the results that we're there for. It makes a much more fulfilling life. Or if you can't get in that time, you know that outcome's still not done. We got to come back and get that outcome done. How many follow what I'm talking about here? Say I. Now, when you get clear what your outcomes are, that's the first question of creating plans. Second question is, why do I want it? Why? Why is this important to me? Why is this something that really is a must for me? I don't have to do it. I want to do this. Why is this transformative? What's exciting about this to me? And almost all of you have certain key words that are triggers for you. And language shapes your emotion. You want to have a nutritious meal or a delicious meal. You might say, I need a nutritious meal. But what if I said, this is a delicious, nutritious meal? You're more in. If I said to you, I want to introduce you to this person, they're really nice, versus they're delicious. Right, who knows what I'm talking about here? So when you learn RPM, you're going to learn that RPM is a system of thinking, that RPM is the power of language, because you can change a few words in your outcome. It'll totally change where you end up and what you're going after in your life. RPM is a visual chunking system, a way to take all that stuff you saw and group 82 things down to 4. And guess what will happen to your stress level? Through the floor. Guess what happens to your concentration ability? Through the roof. What are you going to focus on? That's another one. RPM is a focusing tool. It makes you focus on what's most important, because most people major in minor things. Am I making sense? So you got to know, why are we doing this? And I always look at 2 levels of why. Why for me? Why for the team? What's the big why? If I'm involving other people, if it's just me, then it's me. But I usually have the big why. So I said 3. Step 1 is capture. Step 2 is create the plan. There were 3 questions. What are they? Number 1 is, what do I really? Or another word for that is, what is my? Or another word for that is, what is the result? And I eventually try to get it to a result because I want to make it measurable, if at all possible. If I can't get it measurable in a short time, I want major progress on as my outcome, right? Or complete something, or whatever it is. My purpose are some key words. Write this down. Purpose, I should say, activity without purpose is the drain to your life. Activity without purpose is the drain to your life. It's the drain to your wealth. It's the drain to your lifestyle. 3 questions. What's my outcome? What's my purpose? What's my why? Third one, what's my massive action plan? Or another, say, what do I need to what? Now you ask that question, it makes some sense. Because what to do depends on what your outcome is. Otherwise, what you're going to do is going to be based on stress, concern, fear, people interrupting you, reacting, demands. And so your life is nothing but a reaction tool. Of all the tools I have, this may be the most valuable one, ironically. Because this is the one how it all gets executed. And I don't teach it very often. So, third question is, what's my massive action plan? What do I need to do to achieve this? And when you do that, you'll take things off your capture list and you'll cross them off as they fit in, or you'll say, I don't even need to do that. So, to create a plan, there's 3 questions, and then there's 3 actions. This gets a little more technical, but I think you can pick it up real easy. You take those action items and you put them in order of importance. Does that make sense? But the way I do that more quickly is I go put a star next to the ones that are the 20% that's going to give me 80% of the result. Because I know I'm not going to do all these action items. I know even if I intend to, I'm going to get interrupted 20 million times. So I want to know, what's the 20% of this list? I've got an outcome. I got a purpose. And on this little block, the center of the target is the outcome. I see the purpose with all the juicy words. Why I'm doing this? Now I got this list of 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 things, action items. They're all related to kids, that kid outcome. I'm not going to do all those today. Which are the 20% that make the biggest difference? I star those. And guess what else I do? I figure out what's the 20%, what I call it, what are the must items? My musts are the 20% that are going to make 80% of the difference. That way, every day I can still succeed. That's why I still do my lists and most people don't. Because I don't do lists. I come up with outcomes and purposes, and I got lists within them, and they're highly prioritized with what matters. And later on, if I want to come back and do more, great. So 3 questions, 3 actions. The actions are star the things that are musts. 2, establish the real time. The real time is I go minimum to maximum. On each of those items, I go, how long is this really going to take? Why is that important? Because most of you overwhelm yourself and say, this will be, I just had a meeting with my team the other day, and I said, how long is this going to take? And somebody said, that'll probably take us 10 weeks. I said, okay, let's sit down and do it. Let's sit down and lay out where that 10 weeks is going to come from. And we're all done. It was about 7 hours worth of work. Because we all overestimate when it's in our what? In our head. You sit down, look at each item, and you look at the 20%, and you mark, okay, 20 to 25 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. And by the way, at the end of the day, what do I look at? What are my start items? What's the minimum time necessary to get that result? That's what I go do. Same thing with my week. So 3 questions. I create a visual block where this separates from everything else. Below it, I'll spell space, and I'll create another block. When you learn RPM, you'll see that visually. I don't think I want to throw up for you right now. But basically, in the center of my page, I see the target of what I'm after. I write my result. To the right, I write my juice. Purpose. To the left, I put my action list. Put in order of importance. Boom. Asterisk. Boom. Minimum must time. I'm ready to rock and roll. Here's the 3rd one. Leverage. Leverage is critical. You know how I get so much done? Because I don't just get it done. I know the outcome, I know the purpose, and I look for leverage. Leverage is different than delegation. What's the problem with delegation? Delegation is you have all that needs to be done, so you give it to someone else, and you tell them what needs to be done, and when they don't do it, you're pissed off. Leverage says, I can move the biggest boulder in the world with a little bit of effort if I get something I can do it with, but I'm still part of it. So leverage is, if I'm going to leverage something here with Tom, I'm going to make sure Tom understands the what? The outcome. I want to make sure Tom understands the purpose, the why, and the action. But I might say to Tom, if you can get this done without this action or better action, go for it, baby. And I want to talk to you on this date, and we got to promise and we're going to check in before it's needed. So there's no surprises. And if you're having problems, Tom, come back to me because we're partners on this. That I call leverage, different than delegation. Who sees the difference here? Say I. So 3 questions. What creates the plan? 3 questions with a block, 3 actions. Where's my must? What's my minimum must times? Where's my leverage? And you know what I do when I have no time? There is time. I just got to leverage it. You know what I'm saying? I have no one to leverage it to. You know, Shane over here, right? I got all the stuff he wants to do. He can't leverage it. But Shane's answer was hire somebody. Then he thinks about what it's going to take and goes $125,000. Can't do that now. He's getting caught up in one way to get the outcome. Leverage. He goes through his list and goes, what if I got someone to do 20% of this stuff? I could spend 20 grand to get that much freedom. I could pay for it times 10. And if I'm really productive, my productivity should enhance the world, not only my clients and customers, but it should provide jobs for other people. And if there's anything you hate to do, it's because you're either ineffective at it or you don't think it's very important, but it is urgent. So you need to hire somebody for those things. And ideally, somebody who loves that job. You're never going to grow when your time is eaten up for activities that aren't that important. Activity without high levels of purpose is the drain of your fortune. Do it now. If you can't get it all now, do a part of it now. Leverage is power. Leverage is ultimate power.